Well, hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Miscellaneous Debris podcast with me, your host, the Mad Chatter Ryan MK. Thank you for joining me. Please check out all my content on the social media at RMK Madness, the Twitters, the Grams, doing the video versions on YouTube. Make sure you check out my YouTube channel, Mad Chatter MK. Check it out because got all the good stuffs up there. But we're rolling. We're rolling today. And you might be wondering, why back so soon? Didn't an episode just come out a few days ago? That's right, it did. But you see, once again, a little bit of a changing of the schedule, if you know what I mean. So I do my fantasy football podcast on Monday nights, right? And we're going to keep that going through the season. Well, because there's football on Sunday and Monday nights. So we can sit down and record after the football game, after the Monday night game, discuss everything pertaining to that week's action on the football field, of course. And so it made sense to kind of do miscellaneous debris a little later in the week. Now I'm going back to work. Yes, it's exciting. Got myself a weed job, finally. I tell you, so many industries want you to have experience, but how the fuck are motherfuckers supposed to get experience without getting a goddamn job? And if nobody wants to hire anybody unless they have experience, how are new people supposed to get experience? How are new people supposed to break in? It's crazy. I got a bachelor's in communications, tried to get into radio, tried to get into writing, all sorts of shit. Again, experience. It's a bitch. Same thing with the weed industry. Oh, you want a bud tend? You want to be a bud tender? Experience. Trimming, cultivation, experience. But hey, found a good spot. Seems like I'm going to be working with some like-minded people. The guy that interviewed me, I should say, he had multiple, many years of restaurant experience, as do I. So he very much understood my pain. And he believes I'm going to make a great addition and probably enjoy it a lot more than cooking in the restaurant. But, I had to get back to working a little bit at some point. I don't make enough money writing fantasy articles and doing podcasts as much as I wish that's all I could do. But, we had the ability to wait a little bit, make sure we were both vaccinated before getting back to, normal shit, because shit was opening up before everybody was vaccinated. So, makes it a bit scary. But vaccinations were good to go. Been looking for a while now for some work, and finally found something. Hey, I'm going to be trimming weed plants. It sounds fucking great. And I'm going to learn a lot of stuff. I mean, part of the reason I've got so good at cooking was from just being a sponge and absorbing everything. That's how I get good at anything. I pay attention. I remind myself and stay humble. It's not, hey, just because you do something some way, listen to other ways. Do other things. Try other things. Because you never know. You just might find there are better ways, right? But here we go. So I begin a new journey, a new job. And with that, it comes a bit of an early schedule. Start pretty early in the morning. Got to be up early in the morning, because it's a bit of a drive. So I can't be staying up, to the wee hours of the morning every night. Can't be doing that anymore. At least a few days of the week. Now, point behind explaining all of that is that I'm going to release miscellaneous debris on Mondays now. That way, my work schedule goes Wednesday. Gosh, I cannot talk already. Wednesday to Saturday. So that means that I need to get this shit out early in the week, just so I don't have to worry about it the rest of the week, because I don't want to run into any, situations where something's going on or I'm too tired, or I, just knock it out when I have more time. And that means Sunday, because I do the football podcast on the Monday. So record Sunday night, for the Miscellaneous release on Monday. So you're going to start you're getting like two pretty close together, and then it'll be next Monday before we get another one. So that's the plan. Apologies ahead of time if this one's a little bit shorter, but only a few days to gather info, decide what I wanted to talk about. I tried getting a guest on. Not working out this week. Maybe next week. We'll see. So I got some, some normal shenanigans, normal ranting, raving, bitching, complaining, however you want to put it. And a little fun. We're going to talk some Tarantino flicks later on in the pod. So that all out. I hope you've been well, all of you, since, we last spoke a few days ago. And aside from the job thing, not a lot, just kind of hanging out. The kids are off to their summer, starting their summer vacay. So they're all happy and having a good time and soaking up all the video game shit they can. And yeah. And then mom came back from Florida. My mother was out in Florida for a bit. Good for her. I'm not going to Florida, but she went and, met a friend, and they had a nice little vacay and did some stuff, and they had a good time. So good for them. And back and everything as well. And other than that, just watching the playoffs, man. You got the NBA. Man, the playoffs are pretty interesting. You do have the Bucks smash the Heat. What the fuck happened to the Heat? The Miami Heat. And sorry, it's going to be sports for a few minutes. If you don't care about sports, move ahead a few minutes in the show. But Miami, they were in the finals last year, and people questioned whether it was just something happening, because last year was weird. 2020, they had the bubble with the playoffs. Wondering if that, played a big factor in really the right teams getting to the finals. Obviously, the Lakers wanted, and they probably were going to regardless, but teams wondered how legit Miami was. And they probably wonder more now, because let's face it, it was not a good showing by Miami. No. Swept out of the first round. So, and this is a team they played last year, but Giannis was hurt. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens the rest of the playoffs. That's really the only, the 76ers are kind of taking care of the Wizards, and Celtics are putting up a slight fight against the Nets. But the Hawks, no, I guess the East is pretty much going. It's not all chalk, because the Hawks are actually the 5 seed, Knicks the 4 seed, but Knicks feel good story. They're going to be out in the first round. So we're probably getting the Hawks, Sixers, and then the Nets and the Bucks. That should be a good Final Four in the East for the NBA playoffs in the East. Yeah, that's what I said. Anyway, so on the West, a lot better matchups. You got the Suns and the Lakers tied 2-2, right? You've got Dallas, the Clippers, close one. Nuggets, Blazers tied at 2. There's some really good matchups in that one. That one's going to be a little bit tougher to determine. And Anthony Davis got hurt today in the Lakers game, so who knows what's going to happen with him going forward. Whew. But the NBA has been fun. It's been fun. But you know me, I'm a puckhead. I love me the ice. I love hockey. And the first round was just killer. Tons of fighting, lots of division. They changed up the playoff format so that it's like all divisional hockey in the first round of the playoffs. And that means teams that are in the same division have played each other lots of times throughout the year already, and they just fucking hate each other. So there's tons of fighting. There's just nastiness all around. People do not like each other. Lots of overtime hockey, which is by far one of the best things in sports, fucking overtime hockey. So lots of overtime hockey. And it's just been overall just really, really good, fun sport. I've said that terribly, but you know what I mean. And so for the second round, you have Boston, the Bruins, and the New York Islanders. Boston's already up 1-0. Just started yesterday. Then you got Tampa Bay versus Carolina. Tampa Bay's up 1-0. That started today. And then my boys, the Colorado Avalanche. That's right. After sweeping the St. Louis Blues 4-0, they start out with a shebang. smoke the Golden Knights in game 1, 7-1, and we are off. We are off to the races. And then you still got the Canadian division. They're still waiting on who's going to come out of that to face the Winnipeg Jets because the Toronto Maple Leafs have totally blown a 3-1 series lead, and it's a game 7 tomorrow. They in some trouble. Or today. See, I keep talking now that I'm recording like this, and I admitted I recorded Sunday night. Now I'm all fucked up. Okay, so the whole Anthony, we're gonna rewind. Anthony Davis injured in the game 2 days ago. Oh shit. The other games I was talking about, Boston versus New York, that was 2 days ago. Tampa Bay versus Carolina was yesterday, not today, because you'll be listening to this on a Monday, which is not today. Today is, yeah, that's right, Sunday. But really, only for about 49 more minutes, if we're truth be told. So, yeah, a lot of good stuff there. I've been on pause with The Mandalorian and his Dark Materials, the 2 shows I got into. I've kind of been on pause with that because of the playoffs and because Secret of Skinwalker Ranch is out. And I just love the UFO stuff and the paranoia. It's crazy. It's going to be a big discussion on that stuff next week. That's right, little spoiler. We're going back to the UFO topic, but we're just going to expand on some of the stuff that I will be mentioning in my weekly What the Fuck. I know, one didn't come out last week with it. I know, crazy shit has been going, but I got a double weekly What the Fuck coming for you. So that's the good news. But yes, so I've been mainly watching the playoffs, but now and again I get into, I watch my space stuff and NASA's Unexplained Files, Space's Deepest Secrets. What's the big one? How the Universe Works. God damn it, why did it take so long? Watch these fucking things all the time. But so I do a lot of watching that kind of stuff just because I like to have that stuff on in the background or when I'm eating food. I don't really like to have a meal or be doing anything when I'm trying to watch shit I haven't seen. So I plan on getting back to those series and the Friends reunion. Heard some mixed reviews about that. I just want to see it again. I know I went on a rant about this on one of my fantasy pods. Friends, so underrated. I say that even though it's like this blog post, but there is a lot of people that dislike it or say they dislike it. And I've never understood that. I thought it was always one of the better sitcoms, even though there is a very good point that it basically ripped off Living Single, which is basically the black version of Friends. And you can't argue that. That shit was, you can't argue that at all. Friends is kind of the white version of that. But I always loved Friends. It was something I found a lot of solace in my drinking days. And I don't know, I have a bit of an emotional attachment to it maybe. But I also get confused because there's a lot of good shit as far as a sitcom goes, because sitcoms are only so good anyway. But as far as sitcoms go, I mean, it was fun. It had 3 beautiful women, 3 funny ass dudes. It had a lot of different, I mean, they fucked around and they cursed. They talked about weed. I mean, they didn't really, I mean, I just don't. I don't understand the hate. Other than the Living Single thing. I get that, because that is true. It's a complete rip-off of that. But anyway, so I'll probably get to checking that. But Secret of the Skinwalker, man, it's good stuff. We're going to get into, as I said, a discussion next week, maybe with a guest, about, just the idea. And again, with my weekly, what the fuck, I'll get into this. What the hell? Why is nobody talking about the UFO stuff? Like more. And I brought this up on the last pod as well. But we're really going to get into it and get into some of this because you have to really, even though, we're probably never going to get some big, huge, giant, full disclosure of UFO information from the government or anywhere else. But we're going to get little bits, trickles here and there. And that's what we've been getting. And I think some people that believe in this stuff are a little disappointed because they're looking for that big disclosure moment. And I don't think they're going to get it. But I do think we're going to get bits of information and we should be happy when we do. So, yeah. But like I said, this episode, we're going to talk some Tarantino flicks because I had a little conversation previously just talking about some of the great movies, and then into some of the great, and this might have even been with my brother, but some of the great directors and stuff. And there's a lot of good ones out there, but Tarantino for me is one of the tops, and I think partly because he's got a point. I mean, he's contributed on some movies, but his idea of I'm only making 10 because I want all of them to be like, I can't. When I look at other people's movies, I'm like, yeah, there's a few I could go with. With Tarantino, I love all his stuff. It's great. So we're gonna get into that, but first, normal shenanigans must occur, and I must address, some concerning shit about a former mentor. I don't know if you want to call him someone I kind of looked up to at one point in time. Little shit this person said recently. I'm going to address that. So we'll be right back. Oh yeah, we're sparking the blizzy. We're gonna get a little high for this segment. By the way, I really hope anybody listening, please, hit me up on Twitter at RMK Madness once again. DMs are open. Hit me up if anything from last week's pod, concerning addiction, alcoholism, that kind of stuff. If that hits you in any kind of way, if you've got friends, families, yourself that is struggling with anything, really, but in that vein, in the vein of addiction, things like that, because in that area, I do have some knowledge to share. Experience, strength, and hope is what they call it in the rooms. So feel free to reach out to me, because I'm always willing to try and help people out with that shit, And that's part of why I talked about it last week. It wasn't a big thing, like it's kind of a problem sometimes when you discuss that sort of thing. I remember I had a Twitter conversation with somebody once, and they also lived in Colorado. And it was another fantasy football person, and they were inspiring. And I mentioned something about being 10 years sober. I think it was 10 at the time. And it was like the total vibe I felt like of the conversation changed. And I tried to explain, like, I wasn't trying to, like, hey, I got 10 years, I'm fucking awesome. Like, just saying, like, it's been a minute since, like, I've seen how it goes, man. And so, like, you're a bit newer to it. Like, anything I can do to say it help, because shit gets easier, like, I have experience. So it wasn't like, hey, I'm awesome, I got 10 years of sobriety. It was like, hey, I got 10 years of sobriety, so I might know a few things that could be helpful, might have some good advice. And that's really all it is want to help people. And then the way I don't know, it was very awkward, very weird, and I didn't quite understand how it turned. But it's me. I'm quite used to, turning people off, not like that. You can ask my wife. I do a pretty good job of that. So, yeah. It is what it is, right? It is what it is. But I'm always down to try and help people. Now, speaking of trying to help people, I thought at one point in time, one Joe Rogan was, really trying to be, not just make his status as like a legendary comedian and do all these things with the UFC. I really thought like he was trying, in a way to do some good. Because you look at, he's the one that, called out Mencia for his bullshit. Like, you thought of Joe Rogan as kind of trying to fight for right. But lately, he is fighting for right. He's fighting for the extreme right, the far right. Because apparently Rogan has a problem with people being too woke. According to him, if the country keeps going down this path, straight white males won't be allowed to say anything. Says comedy isn't the same. And I disagree. Comedians are smart enough, they can make it work. But to start with all this, it kind of reminds me of the Republican. Like, it's funny how these people are like, yeah, cancel culture, they won't let us speak. They are trying to silence us. It's how? Millions of people can still hear what the fuck you're saying. So you're not being silenced. Fuck off with that stupid shit. And then I just find it interesting that so many people are complaining, like, why aren't cancel culture? Like, it's the same shit as political correctness. That was the fucking target words they used back in the day. Like, no, it's called a correction. It's called getting on the right path. It's called fixing bad habits, old past mistakes. Like, for too long, yes, straight white men in particular have been able to say whatever the fuck they wanted. And it didn't matter, if it was deeply hurtful to a group of people, even if it was a joke. Now, personally, I'm someone of the mind that there's not a lot that's off limits as far as humor goes, but not everybody's like that. And the world is becoming more sensitive, which, yes, has its drawbacks where maybe some people aren't going to like those certain kinds of jokes. But I think overall, excuse me, these are the kinds of things that better a civilization. There's a few important things to me. One is moderation. You got to do that. Look at addiction. That addiction is going to the extreme. I don't like extreme in any fashion, positive or negative. It's not good for you either way. Moderation. Okay. And I also believe in inclusivity, diversity, equality. Someone put it on Twitter. I didn't take credit. I can't take credit for this one, but I can't give you the person that deserves the credit. But something about, we could be, humans could be just sitting around making art, eating grapes, but instead we got like taxes and yeah. Things could be so much different. There's so much behind all of that. And it just, sometimes I get a headache thinking about the complaining that some of these people do. And before I go further, I do want to say there are some good Republicans, some good conservatives. I mean, I know a couple. And I'm not saying this jokingly. Like, I'm not like, yeah, they're just needle in a haystack. They kind of are, but but it's not like they're all bad, but a lot fall into that extreme category. And I'm someone, again, I've said this several times, I was in the middle. Independent, because I don't fucking care. I think both your parties are fucking stupid. I think the two-party system is fucking stupid. I did not vote in 2016 because I thought both the candidates were fucking stupid. And so I voted Republican. I voted Democrat. I voted both. I'm the prime type of candidate for a party to just say, oh, we're going to steal you away. And the Republican parties completely turned me off because too many of them still defend Trump, still believe in Trump. It's and then you got Rogan, someone who you thought was for the people in a way, you know? He was just small time comedian, was on news radio, you know? Just the maintenance guy. All of a sudden, he's on Fear Factory. He's doing stand-up specials, UFC, podcast. Feel like he forgot some shit along the way, lost some shit along the way, maybe. I don't know. And the problem is that he's just gone too far to the extreme right. And he's perpetuating bullshit like these conspiracy theories and far right extremism. And if you do that shit, it's going to get you in hot water, right? And now he made this big deal with Spotify, right? And they're going to censor him a little bit. Oh, okay. Don't say stupid shit. Or leave Spotify and say all the stupid shit you want. I'm sorry, Alex fucking Jones? Seriously? Alex fucking Jones. We're going to take this dickhead seriously? Motherfucker better be happy I'm not one of those goddamn Sandy Hook parents, because if I was one of them, I'd be all up on Alex Jones' motherfucking ass. And it sounds really aggressive or homosexual. And I meant it neither way. Aggressive, maybe I meant it a little bit, but fuck that dude. Fuck that dude. And it just makes me mad, because these are the people that ruined conspiracy theories for me. Seriously, conspiracy theories once upon a time were cool, and again, we're watching one play out in real life right now. The whole idea of UFOs and extraterrestrial species and the government covering shit up, it's all being played out. It's all coming true. And so maybe that adds fuel to the fire of these people thinking all the other conspiracy theories are going to come true. And there's some fucking whack ones. There's some, but like there's some from way back when that were interesting. The JFK, there's things to look at that are interesting. But now conspiracy theories have just gone way too far. I'm sorry. Any conspiracy that has Donald Trump as a fucking savior of the world, get me the fuck out of here. I mean, I thought Joe was like this comedy legend. I mean, he's got this comedy legend status, and it just, now I feel like he's just a joke and a voice for a minority of fuckheads. I don't know if the fame went to his head. I don't know if, I don't know. Maybe he's always been like this. But I remember when he's bitching about trans athletes, and that was probably right around the time I stopped listening, actually, because I quit listening not too long before his move to Spotify. But I just couldn't take it anymore. As much as I liked a lot of his stand-up in the past, and I was inspired by how hard he worked, and doing all these, because that's me. I'm doing the fantasy football thing, and then I got the comedy shit, this podcast, and then I got my novels that I'm working on. So it's like, and some music stuff. I got my hands dipped in a lot of different jars, and I just keep grinding that way, and I felt confidence in doing that, partly because I see Rogan doing it. I'm like, yeah, see, motherfuckers can handle that shit. And it's not that he's the only one. It's just like, from my view, looking at comedians who don't just tell stand-up, they've got all these other things going on. And he always talked about not really being into movies. And I'm like, yeah, fuck being in movies and TV and shit like that, unless I was making it. Because, not to brag, but I'm a pretty solid fucking writer, and I'm pretty fucking creative. So, like, If I was making some shit, I'd let me be in it. But otherwise, I don't know. I don't know. I'd do a superhero movie. I'd be good in like a Suicide Squad. Yeah. Although I did say one time they should redo Demolition Man and make the black dude the cop instead of the villain, the criminal. Simon Phoenix. And I'll play Simon Phoenix as the crazy bad guy, villain, criminal guy. I could do it so well. Simon says, die. Anyway. But I really did just the whole Joe Rogan thing. It bums me out, dude, because I was a fan. I just, right after we moved to Colorado for my birthday, wife got us tickets to Joe Rogan because he was going to be here. And it was a fucking hell of a night. We ate some shrooms, saw Rogan, went back to the hotel. There was a lot of weed smoking. It was a very good moment in time for me and my wife. And now I look at it like that was like, especially as I'm really getting into the whole idea of stand up. And now with, things starting to open back up and me being vaccinated, you can bet your ass the chatter is hitting them open mics this summer. Already planning it. Fucking right. But I digress. So I just, it's a shame because he really, to me, it's just fucking going off the deep end. And again, maybe some people you just don't know. And maybe this has always been him. But it seemed like, at the beginning of the pandemic, he was having scientists on and doing some really smart shit. And like, he just totally abandoned that. I don't know what the fucking deal was. Maybe his ratings dropped. Maybe the large part of his base is fucking, the far right lunatics. I don't know. It's strange. But it is what it is, right? It is what it is. But I can't do it anymore. I can't listen to the fucker. I can't get down with a lot of the shit he says anymore or does or the people he has on. Again, Alex fucking Jones. When I first started listening to Rogan, I was like, I have no idea why he has this dude on, but he didn't deal with a lot of bullshit from him. And it just over time, it was like, why? But you start to see either that's Rogan or he's been turned a little bit. Like it's weird. But I move on. And actually I move on to more of the right wing, far right, extreme right stupidity. But this is actually in the government itself is the Republicans decided to block the January 6th investigation. So they don't want an investigation. Some have said it's a waste of time. I've already looked into. Here's the funny thing. So to them, quadruple counting ballots in Arizona, that's a worthy cause. But the January 6th assault on our democracy, that needs no further looking into. Something tells me there's something they don't want you to find. Because otherwise, why not? And I'm sure Rogan lovers, a lot of are big on the big lie. And if you haven't checked out my weekly What the Fuck on the Big Lie, please do. YouTube, check it. All this is just more BS from people who crave power above all else, and the sheep that follow them and believe every little thing they say. And again, there are some good ones. Like I was reading about it today. There are Republicans who are like, oh shit, Sorry about Marjorie Taylor Greene. Like, yeah, I had no idea she was going to be like this. That's what a lot of people say. I saw something on like an argument on Twitter talking about Trump and how someone was digging into him. They're like, that's not fair. No one knew Trump was going to be like this. Uh, I know I, for one, was talking about it the majority when Trump was first sworn in. I talked with this about my brother. My brother was like, hey, he says he's going to get some shit done with like infrastructure and stuff like that. Let's just see what he's at. Give him a chance. Okay. Even LeBron James, who I hope to feud with someday, because as much as I've enjoyed some moments of basketball from him, I very much have a bone to pick with him someday. But even LeBron James was like, all right, let's give him a chance. Almost immediately, he started fucking with the healthcare, fucking with which affected my family, and because Medicaid at the time. And a lot of people, another problem with Republicans, hey, do better. You shouldn't need help from the government. You shouldn't need help. Healthcare is not a right. And that's stupid shit. I mean, healthcare is not a right, but guns are. Huh? Healthcare isn't a right, but guns are. Guns are your right, so you say, but not healthcare. So it's funny how they'll look at people and go, hey, just do better, work harder. Again, I'm someone, granted, there's a good chunk of time. I was probably more of a menace to society than anything. But I did what society wants people like me to do. I rehabilitated. I turned my life around. I became a productive member of society again. I went to school. I paid for it. Well, I took out loans because I couldn't pay for it. So I'm to pay for it. I'm in debt for it. Graduated. Got a communications and bachelor's in communications, as spoken about previously. Blah 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 blah. I pretty much followed the path you're supposed to, right? Again, even you take that chunk of time that I was dealing with my addiction, my alcoholism, even that chunk of time, by the end of it, I had done what society would deem worthy, rehabilitate and become sober, a productive member of society once again. And yet, things aren't easy. I'm not well off. My family doesn't have fucking some expensive ass health care. Still got Medicaid. People don't get it. Some people don't get it. Things just aren't that easy. And maybe there's been some time in the past year or so that I haven't worked as hard. But other than that, and a chunk of time, because most of my drinking careers, I'll call it, most of that time wallowing in that addiction, I was still functional enough to work. There was only a small period of that time that I wasn't contributing. I don't know how much harder I could have worked, what more I could have done better, but some would still shame me. It is what it is. Again, still some good people that follow the Republican/conservative mindset. But also, as I mentioned, I was in the middle. In the past handful of years have really proved to me that there's really, even though I don't like the whole idea of the two-party system, I can't stand it. It's stupid and archaic. Despite that, I can clearly see which party I really don't like, at least for the most part, because of so much shit. So much shit. All this insanity down here. And next month, a fucking asteroid the size of Eiffel Tower is going to zip past the Earth. I mean, we'll be okay. They call these near Earth objects, but a lot of them aren't as near as that might suggest. We'll be okay. We'll be down here still doing the same bullshit, but we'll go on for now. For now. Still a grow. See, my talking is getting real bad now. I don't know why. A lot of podcasting in a short amount of time. Because I got another one coming up tomorrow, my fantasy football one. It's like a marathon right now. But it's just insane, as one Joe Rogan would say, because here is one. Well, and there's a few things I probably would still agree with him on if he still believes in them. But one is, hey, not enough people talking about the fact that we're just on a rock flying through space, and it's true. And there's lots of other shit all around us flying through space, which is even crazier and a bit scary. If you know enough about space, you're like, fuck, Earth is in trouble at some point. It's unfortunate we're doing the damage we are, because we should be devoting resources and technology to getting the fuck off this planet and venturing out into space, as opposed to, trying to help save this planet. And, there's still going to be resources to put it. But imagine what we could do if there wasn't all this divisiveness, this infighting, if everyone agreed on science, and we could truly, work towards elimination of disease and working towards a better way of living for the planet, for the health of the planet. But no. You got, for multiple reasons, people in power influencing others, that science isn't the way we should look. It's so stupid. And it is crazy in 2021 that we're at this point. Don't forget, rock flying through space. Rock flying through space. I would like to see Rogan come around someday. Don't know that he will. Now I'm just rambling because I'm high. But I really do. It's always a bummer when someone you look up to turns into a shithead, right? Rock flying through space. A fucking rock flying through space. Yeah. Anyway. What a way to start off that segment. The end segment, the final segment, because we're about ready to roll out of here. But before we do, as I mentioned, some Tarantino chatter. So I was discussing, I can't for the life of me remember with who. I want to say my brother, but I'm not sure that's it. Was it on social media? It could have been. But talking about favorite films and then to favorite filmmakers. And obviously, a lot of people are fans of the Coen brothers. Me too. Raising Arizona. Man, me and my brothers used to watch the shit out of that. Fargo is one of my favorite movies of all time, as is Big Lebowski. I remember my brother Dane and I went to babysit for our cousin Tammy, and we got super fucking stoned. And she was like, "There's some movies I rented if you guys want to watch them." And we were like, "Cool. What the fuck is this? Big Lebowski. Let's check it out." We had never heard of it, no idea what it was. 2 straight hours of us just laughing. It was great. It was great. So that's always been one near and dear to my heart. Lady Killers. Oh, Tom Hanks' character in that is so fucking fantastic. No Country for Old Men. They've got some really good stuff. Now there's some shit I know is going to be good that I still haven't seen. Hail Caesar is supposed to be good. The Ballad of what is it? I can't even remember. Brewster Buster. But now I gotta look it up. The Ballad of Buster. These are ones I have to check out, and it's supposed to be on Netflix right now. So I may have to do that very very soon. What is it called? The Ballad of Buster Scruggs. That's right. I had the Buster part. Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? That's another one they did. So good stuff by them. And then people don't like M. Night Shyamalan, but I'm a big fan. I really am. Sixth Sense, The Village. I mean, he starts out his career with some pretty good stuff. Unbreakable. That whole trilogy, by the way. Unbreakable's good. Split's even better. Glass, I fucking loved it. So I know people have their own preferences, but I'm a really big fan of that trilogy. Signs, man, I loved Signs. Joaquin Phoenix, so awesome in that movie. I just like Joaquin Phoenix. He's great in all his movies. Lady in the Water, big fan of that. Now, he did have a couple of, but I really wasn't a fan of. I can never even remember the fucking name. The Vanishing. The one with the plants. Mark Wahlberg, which is fine because I'm not a big Marky Mark fan myself. No, not at all. But yeah, I think he does really good work, and I just love it. There's the new one coming out, Old. That looks fucking insane, fucking insane. And then Guy Ritchie, which I love his older stuff. I'm not sure about the new one with Statham because it just looks like I think I've talked about this. Looks like just like a Jason Statham movie. Anyway, but I did read The Man from U.N.C.L.E. was pretty good. I'll have to check that one out. But like I dig the Sherlock Holmes movies. I was a fan of Rock and Rolla, but obviously the big ones, Snatch. Yeah, fucking kidding me? A Periwinkle Blue. Periwinkle Blue. How the fuck do I want a caravan that's got no fucking wheels? Love Snatch, obviously. Lock, Stock, Two Smoking Barrels. The two, man, to me, those are the original Ritchie movies, and they're so fucking fantastic. Yeah. And then I like the trilogy of the dudes, Simon Pegg, Nick Frost. You got Shaun of the Dead, At World's End, Hot Fuzz. They did Paul. I really like those guys in movies. Now I'm just getting out of hand. So obviously one of the best ever to do is Quentin Tarantino. And he's approaching his 10th film, at least the beginnings of making it. And not that ever anything special. He's in plans to get that going. I'm assuming that means he's writing it right now. So, 10th movie. I'd say, what would you say? Probably the next 2 or 3 years, something like that? Yeah. What do you think, Hermione? Oh, she's passed out. Hermione's my cat. You saw her on the intro if you were paying attention at all. Well, if you're watching anyway. Podcasters, you have no idea what I'm saying. But anyway, I digress. Tarantino, to me, just can't be fucking topped. And the story is and this, I mean, not the story, this is what he says as well, is that after the 10th, he'll retire. And then if he does somehow come back to make anything, it will not be included in his 10 film. He wants the 10 films to just be their own canon, like their own, the Tarantino 10 film universe. Because as I mentioned, he's done other stuff. Death Proof, Four Rooms, did a scene in Sin City. Like he's collaborated on some really cool shit. I personally love Four Rooms and From Dusk Till Dawn. That one's fantastic. I remember the first time I saw From Dusk Till Dawn. I was just sitting there. I was loving it because I was just like, this feels just like Tarantino. There's fucking crazy ass robbers kidnapping these people. And then there were vampires. And I did not expect that. And that's exactly what it was. It was like the first half of the movie was very Tarantino. And the second half of the movie was very Robert Rodriguez. And it was perfect. It was such a great movie. But as much as I love all that stuff, it's all about the main nine right now. Because as I said, it's not going to be long and we're going to start hearing tidbits about what he's doing for the 10th movie. And before you know it, within a few years, it's going to be coming out. You think? Maybe a little longer? Why do I keep saying you think? You can't answer me back right now. I don't know. What was the time? I guess I'd have to look up. I'm not going to do it right now. The time difference between his last few movies. See about how long we'd have to wait. But no, let's go ahead and do that. Why don't we? I just had the shits pulled up, so let's see. Oh no, that was the Coen Brothers movies. Bing. Tarantino movies. Yeah. So it looks like there was 4 years in between Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and The Hateful Eight. But then it was about 6 years. No, 3 years between The Hateful Eight and Django. 3 years between The Hateful Eight and Inglourious Bastards. Then he helped with Death Proof, Grindhouse. (2003) was Kill Bill. 2004 was Kill Bill 2. So yeah. But it did 4 years. Okay. So 2019 was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So 2021. So yeah, there you go. We're about a year and a half in. 3 to 4 years. So yeah, within 3 years, it should be out. Should be out his 10th and final. And he might take a little extra time. I guess that would make sense. But once again, I digress. We're going to get into what I have ranked as the Tarantino top 9 movies. My personal ranking. Nice big puff before we get going. Excuse me. Sounded terrible. But this is my ranking of Tarantino's top 9 while we wait for the 10th film. And I like it because I think it's a little bit different than others. A lot of others would be. I think we'll have some surprises, is what I'm saying. And I didn't do it just for surprises. This list is truly how I feel. Like if I had to watch them, well, I guess I couldn't do that. Watch them in a particular order because I kind of have the Kill Bill split up. They're not back to back. But yeah, fuck it. Let's just get into it. If I were to rank the Quentin Tarantino movies as far as my favorites to watch, this is how I would rank them. And we're going to start with number 9, Jackie Brown. No, I still love Jackie Brown. Pam Grier. Sam Jackson in that movie cracks me up. Uh, Bridget Fonda. I had such a crush on her after that fucking movie. Robert De Niro's great. It is really fantastic. But I'd probably watch all the others before that, and that's why it takes number 9. I probably like all the others, at least a little bit better, and that's why. And I had a tough time actually between number 9 and number 8. I couldn't decide which one I wanted to put at number 9 because while I do like them both, I couldn't decide. Like, okay, I would definitely pick all the others over these, but which one of these would I pick over the other? And I ended up going Once Upon a Time in Hollywood at number 8. And so there's the first one that probably shocked people. And look, hey, people, same thing with Jackie Brown. Not a bad movie. I'm not saying it sucks. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I loved it. But compared to all the other ones, sorry, this is a tough list. It's fucking Tarantino. And I'm going with my way and what I like to see from Tarantino. So at number 7, I have Kill Bill 2. Really fucking fantastic. And it's a great end to the story of Kill Bill and, Beatrix. And so I loved it all around. Kill Bill and like the whole Kill Bill saga story. I loved the entire thing as a whole. If we're to split it up into 2 different movies, I love number 1. And obviously that'll be a little farther ahead on the list. Number 2, I really enjoy, but just felt there was times where it lulls. I felt, in particular, and normally I like all of the dialogue and stuff that goes with Tarantino's movies, but I felt like the end was maybe a little slow too. But overall, I loved it because I loved the ending to the story. So, and I'm really not complaining about it because, again, I love it. But again, if I were to pick it to watch over anything, it would just be those 2. It would just be Jackie Brown, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood are the only ones that I would pick. Kill Bill 2 to watch over, if that makes sense. I totally fucked that up. But as you know me, I lean into those mistakes. I don't sit here and fuck with the editing and so I don't got the goddamn time to edit every little mistake I make. I'm not a goddamn professional. And I smoke a lot of weed. So mistakes happen. And number 2, I like to be transparent and lean into that shit. Because I'm imperfect. We're all imperfect. Nothing wrong with letting the imperfection shine a little bit. So, number 9, Jackie Brown. Number 8, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Number 7, Kill Bill 2. Then we move into number 6, Django Unchained. And I love this flick too, man. Jamie Foxx is fantastic. Christoph Waltz is amazing. Leonardo DiCaprio. Let me tell you something about Leo. He is one of my most favorite actors and one of the most underrated actors, in my opinion. And a lot of my favorite actors are not these types of dudes, white dudes, the good looking in many a chick flick. Not my kind of actor, but man, Leo's got a fucking range. I actually liked him in Romeo and Juliet and what was done there. The Beach is a crazy ass movie. Gangs of New York. I fucking love that movie to death. This is fucking crazy. And I just think DiCaprio was phenomenal in his role in Django Unchained. It's just, I loved it. I loved it. So I put Django there. And I keep looking at it. Django at 6. There's no way. But then I look at the rest of the list and I go, yeah, I gotta put it there. It seems so weird, but it's there. Number 5, Inglorious Bastards. Oh, the Bear Jew. Just everything about that. Brad Pitt, another, and this is another dude that I actually really love. Brad Pitt seems like he might be iffy in real, but has some issues at least. But he's definitely a phenomenal actor, and this is another great classic Brad Pitt role. It just as another one he nails out of the park. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie California, spelled with a K, and it's David Duchovny, from the X Files, and his wife, and they end up meeting up with this other couple, and it's Brad Pitt, who's a crazy ass, and Juliette Lewis, who I love and adore, but she also often plays a crazy ass. Way of the Gun. Oh, that's one. I was just talking to my wife about Way of the Gun. Juliette Lewis is in that. She's a pregnant surrogate for a rich couple. And she gets kidnapped by these two dudes, Ryan Phillippe and Benicio del Toro. Benicio del Toro, one of my favorite actors of all time. Such a great movie. It also contains the line said by Ryan Phillippe, "Shut that cunt's mouth before I come over there and fuck start her head." And I'm not saying that. This is a part in the movie, and it's at the very beginning of the movie. If you've ever seen it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Sarah Silverman, and if you know who that is, one of my faves too. She's great. She plays this chicken line, and she turns around and sees that Ryan Phillippe and Benicio, one of them, is sitting on a car. And she's like, "Hey, get the fuck off the car." And she starts running her mouth. And that's when he's like, "Shut that cunt's mouth." And then they get the shit beat out of them. I shouldn't spoil. Sorry, Spoiler. I've gotten way too off track with this shit. Way too off track. So let's bring it back. Let's bring it back again. Let's digress. I digress yet again. You can see I love movies, but certain kinds of movies. But Inglourious Basterds, another phenomenal performance by Pitt. And then this was really our introduction, the Tarantino world, to Christoph Waltz, who played the German officer, and he was so fantastic. And that's what led to him being in Django. And man, what great movies. But still, I look again and I'm like, Inglourious Basterds at 5. How? How is that possible? Well, it's because at number 4 you have Reservoir Dogs. Yes. And this is just pure classic Tarantino. And just everything that goes along with the flashbacks and the surprises and the different end, just everything. Harvey Keitel was great in that movie. At the end, you just can tell the mental struggle that's going on within him. You feel it. Love Mr. Pink, of course. Big Buscemi fan. I know, I was like, I'm really not into that type of... Well, Buscemi's not that at all, so... And it's just all around great fucking story. Just the whole thing. Then I moved to number 3, Kill Bill 1. This, I love everything about this. From her story, the beginning of her journey, Uma Thurman's Beatrice, and how she goes and confronts some of her would-be killers had she not survived. And the whole part of how she comes to in the coma, the dudes that are trying to fuck her, the toe thing. That toe thing that gets me every time. It reminds me of one time where one of my whole legs fell asleep, and I was on a train. I slept on it weird or something, but my whole left leg was fucking numb, and I was like, I've lost my leg. Like, they're gonna have to cut it off because I can't feel it. And to feel her where you're just like, you've been laying there so fucking long that you can't feel anything. Yeah, that's some good shit. And of course, more than anything, I just love her entire journey. And then she gets to Japan. Is it Japan? I want to say it's Japan. In her battle with Orenishi, the crazy 88s. It is some of my favorite shit. I just loved it. I loved bringing in, and even though in Kill Bill 2, see, again, I look at that and I'm like, man, is it too far away from Kill Bill 1? Because I do love what's her trainer in that movie. That is a good part. But see, this list, it's so hard. Fucking Tarantino, because they're all so good. But I love me some Lucy Liu, and she was fantastic in this movie. So Kill Bill 1, number 3. Now, this will be the big surprise. But I mean this in all sincerity. The Hateful Eight comes in at number 2 because I fucking love every goddamn thing about this movie. I have some minor complaints in the Kill Bills. Reservoir Dogs, I don't know. I guess, do you have much complaints in that? No, other than I've probably seen it 100 million times. Inglourious Bastards, I mean, I suppose if you want to nitpick anything, you probably could. But as far as my personal enjoyment, I love The Hateful Eight. Everything about it. Just the way it's set up, almost like a play, right? All the dialogue, the music, the mistrust, the actors. I love all that. Tim Roth, Sam Jackson. I mean, Michael Madsen. There are so many good actors in there. And there's just so much to it. And Kurt Russell, of course. And just the murder mystery aspect to it that comes into play. Like, it's just, I love it. I love it all. I could watch that. So, as a matter of fact, I'm going to go watch it when I go eat after this. I'm going to go do that. I'm going to watch Hateful Eight. But yeah, so I mean it with all sincerity. If I have all of the Pulp Fiction, oops, that kind of fucks it all up. But if I have all the Tarantino, it's okay. You heard nothing. If I put all the Tarantino movies right here, somebody say, hey, which one are you watching first? If you have to pick one, your absolute favorite, I would say what is number 1, which will come in a second. And I already kind of spoiled. But if I had to say, hey, what's your second favorite Tarantino film? Your second favorite Tarantino film, what is that? Hateful Eight. I'm not trying to be a shocker here. Excuse me. No. I mean it with every bone in my body, with every fiber in my being. I mean it. I love every single actor/actress in that movie. Again, story, setup, everything. Masterpiece. But it can only be topped by the number 1, which is, of course, the aforementioned Pulp Fiction. And it's kind of a mainstream pick, which might surprise some of you. I guess I got the surprise in with at the number 2 slot, but it does feel very mainstream. A lot of people would say Pulp Fiction, but it's true. I've watched that movie so many times, but I could watch it probably every day for the rest of my life. I love movies like that play out not necessarily in chronological order. Reservoir Dogs is like that, Kill Bill's got some of that to it. And then obviously Tarantino does a lot of flashbacks and stuff, but the characters in the film, Marcellus Wallace, obviously Sam Jackson and Travolta's characters, just everything about that movie. That's another way. Yeah. Like that for sure is one of the top movies of all time. I can't tell you how many times I probably watched that fucking movie. Like there's a few. You look at Tarantino's, some of the newer ones I probably haven't watched as much, but Pulp Fiction, Reservoir Dogs, the first Kill Bill, like I've probably seen those a lot. Same thing with Snatch, Lock, Stock, 2 Smoking Barrels, Signs, Lady in the Water. Yeah, some of the aforementioned movies I have seen a whole boatload of times. What's the other one I mentioned? Oh yeah, the Coen brothers, Fargo, Lebowski. It's fucking ridiculous how many times I've seen those movies. Oh, bless you, Hermione. Is you sneezing? Is that right there? Yeah, done. Yeah, done. I'm good. It's time to go. Yeah, she's probably right. It's probably time to go. But hey, it's been fun. This pod probably went a little bit longer than I thought it would. So there you go. Y'all are in for a treat. It'll almost feel like a bonus pod, except for now you're not going to be getting one on Friday, or Thursday or anything like that. No, it'll be a week from now, next Monday. So you have to bless you again, kitty cat. Goodness. So you'll just have to bear with me, hang with me, madcaps. Just hang with me. And of course, we'll have lots of good stuff to get into next time. More ranting and raving. And hopefully a surprise guest with, some UFO chatter. That's the plan. So let's go ahead and let's fucking close up shop, end this tea party, and start to get the fuck out of here. Yeah. Once again, at RMK Madness on the Twitters, on the grams. Thank you so much for joining me. As always, much love. Stay safe, stay vigilant, stay mad. Until next time, have a great weekend. Talk now.